everyone, Joey Philippi here with Truly Confident Women. I am so excited to share with you an interview I recently did with a wonderful woman named Joy Eggerichs. She is from Portland, Oregon, and is in charge of Love and Respect Now. If you hear her talk, she is funny and vivacious and very confident, though with this interview, I think you will notice a few things that she is very candid about, saying that she doesn't think so. I hope that you enjoy what you hear and glean a little insight about maybe something that you can relate to and enjoy. First, start by telling me what you believe a confident woman looks like.
I would say that I feel like it's probably different for every woman. It's probably an answer that you get quite a bit, but I think as I was kind of looking over some of your material and just thinking about confidence, it's interesting. I'm not to try to plug my book, but I'm writing a book right now, and at the end I talk about a guy who asked me, he's like, "Have you always been confident?" And I took it actually negatively at first because I thought that he was saying I was arrogant or, and so it took a second, and I didn't even know that that was like a descriptor that he would see me as that. And I was like, why did I filter that as negative? And so I've actually been thinking about confidence quite a bit and just what that looks like and what confidence in Christ, as a Christian, we throw that term around. And so I think I've kind of come to this place where I feel like it's nobody's really that confident. We all have our insecurities. As you were saying, there's older women who are learning from your material, and you thought it was going to be for younger women. But yeah, I don't think there's anybody that's totally confident. I think people come off as what we define confidence to be based off of whether it's arrogance or however you're deciding to define confidence. And so I think for me, it seems like I probably come off confident on some level just because I do, based off of what I believe. And so I think confidence is when you choose to try to figure out what it is that you believe, and then you just do life according to that.
Yeah.
Even when you don't always feel what you may think confidence would look like. So.
Yeah, I think it's that bridge in between the point where you, like you said, like you know what you believe in and what you stand by, but then actually still doing it when it's uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Growing up, was there any great advice you received that changed the outlook on your life or current situation? I mean, writing a book, like that's awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, one of the stories I think I talk about in there, or maybe it's on one of my blog posts. When I went through a breakup, I was really concerned about what people would be thinking about me. And I remember my counselor said, Joy, people aren't thinking about you as much as you think that they're thinking about you. And that, it was like, but it was also really freeing. Because the thoughts of what people would think about me who didn't know the whole situation was causing me to become paralyzed or function out of their thinking of me as opposed to what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So that was pretty pivotal for me.
How old were you when that happened?
25, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking how old you are now?
42. No, 31. 31.
I'm only 1 year behind you, so we're still youngins.
Nice.
What are some key moments in your life, or a key moment that you believe created the confidence you have today? Maybe that was part of it, but.
Yeah. I just kind of think confidence is an ebb and flow of life. And I think when I do have a trial that's making me feel, like I can't go on or whatever, one of the things that my mom always tells me is when she was a little girl, she was really scared of the police. She was always scared of the police, and she'd see a cop and she'd hide behind her mom. And her mom was like, if you haven't done anything wrong, you have nothing to be scared about.
Yeah.
And so now, again, with situations where you just don't know if people know your side of the story kind of thing, my mom will always say to me, she'll quote, it's in 1 John 3, I think, that's if you have confidence, or if your heart does not condemn you, you can have confidence before God. And so if you're a Christ follower, it is that thing of the only person I'm really accountable to is God. And I think some people can shift that and take that verse and then be like, well, I know my motives, so now I can just, who cares what other people think? And I don't think that's what I want to do. I want to care what people think, but I also know that I can show, my mom will say, you know the story, or you know this, so you just be who you are, you be kind, hold your head high, because you can have confidence before God. So.
Yeah. And then it's like you can care about other people, but you don't need to be judged by them.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice would you like to pass down to the next generation of women?
Lots of things.
Well, you can list them. You can have more than one if you want.
Well, I think I always want there to be a cycle of seeking counsel. So I would say always have someone younger than you that you're pouring into, and having someone older that you're seeking counsel from. I think that's huge. It's accountability. You know, people sometimes think they have an accountability partner, like an older person. I think the best accountability is if you have a younger person that you're talking to. So I would say seeking counsel, and also trying to be counsel in someone's life. And then also something that I noticed specifically with our generation, it seems, is just kind of assuming the worst about people.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to relationships, we default to, well, if this guy did this, it must mean because he is XYZ, instead of going, maybe I don't know what's going on with him. And even though what he did is really hurtful to me, or what my best girlfriend did to me is really hurtful, like, I don't know what's going on in their brain. And people can be really hurtful. So I'm not trying to justify. I think people need to also know, this is why I say have counsel. You also have to know your personality. Because if there's some person that's like, oh, I'm just going to keep assuming the best about this person and assuming the best about this person because they want to stay in a relationship with someone that they shouldn't, that person needs to go, nope, I have to have wisdom to know I got to get out of here, and I have to listen to my counsel that's saying to get out of here. But then if you have a personality like me that's a little bit stronger and is like, that person's a jerk, that person's an idiot, then I have to take stock enough of my own personality to go, you know what, I'm going to try to assume the best and not let that anger fester in me, or not, label them without having all the facts. So I would say seeking counsel, mentoring, and assuming the best are things that I've had to learn.
Very cool. That's awesome. Who do you look up to as a confident woman, or a few key women in your life, and why? And then how did these women or one person influence you becoming a confident woman today? So who, why, how?
Who, why, how? Well, I might take a little bit different approach. There's a lot of, my mom, my grandma, my dad's mom. There's a lot of specific women, but one thing that I have noticed, I really like old people, and like old geriatrics. And there's just a calmness, maybe because they're going senile, I don't know. Yeah. But there's a calmness generally about old people when it comes to like what's happening in life. And I just kind of think it's like they've seen enough. They're kind of coming to the end, and there's no reason to really panic because they know they're, we're going to die. Have that perspective. So I think just watching old people makes me want to have confidence just that today is okay. It's going to be okay. I do not need to freak out. So yeah, I would say old people have influenced me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you spend a lot of time with that population, like with volunteering or anything like that, where you get a lot of that, or is it just in your life?
Yeah, no, all my grandparents have passed, but right around the corner from my house, it's like I have to walk by a cemetery. I love cemeteries also to think about, the end of life. But then right around the corner from that is an old folks home that I volunteered one time to call bingo at, and then I didn't want to call bingo anymore because they get vicious.
Really?
You would think that winning 50 cents was that. I'll say they're not calm in bingo. But through that, I met 3 women, June and Alberta and Dorothy. June's passed away, and she actually could never speak, but we had this crazy bond. And then Alberta is going blind, and then Dorothy is also, she's younger, but she's like in her 70s, but she's in a lot of pain. So I kind of honed in on a few. I'm like, I don't want to call bingo, because they're like, you got to call bingo. I'm like, nah, I don't like doing that. It's too much. So I'll just go and kind of see them ever so often, which is a good reminder. I called Dorothy yesterday, but I haven't gone in to see them in a while.
Oh, very cool.
So,
That's neat.
yeah.
That's neat that you have an outlet to get that from, on a regular basis, though. It's not just like you like that population, but you're not plugged in some way to get that, mentoring for yourself.
Yeah. No, they're great.
That's cool. What obstacles do you believe exist today that interfere with women's confidence?
Yeah, I mean, really the basic answer is just, technology and getting to see so much of other people's lives. The accessibility to that. I was text messaging with a younger girl that I know last night, and she was just saying that she was depressed. And I said, why? And she's just like, none of my clothes fit, and all the other girls are so skinny. And, and it's hard because you want to empathize with that. I get that. I mean, I just was in a Nordstrom changing, whatever, dressing room.
Yeah.
I don't know what those lights are, but I was like, I was feeling okay about my body until I got into those lights, and I was like, 30's not treating me well.
Yeah.
I saw every little thing.
You're like, I'm not buying anything. I'm leaving right now.
And I'm like, who is the marketer at Nordstrom that put in these, like, crazy lights?
Yeah.
So, or maybe that's just how I really look, and my lights at home are really dim.
They're all 40 watts because that's just you like the mood light at all times.
It looks good. Yeah. So I would just say it's that thing, because I know she's all over social media, all over it. And it's hard to know what to say in response to that, because, like I said, I can relate. But I just tried to say, I was like, I know you can see that, and they look like life's perfect, because that's literally, she was making the equation of them being skinny with their life being perfect.
Yeah, which is so common.
Yeah. And so I was just like, you don't know if they are happy, and you don't know if they're nice people. And I'm sorry that you can't fit into your clothes. Like, that's hard. I get that. But, like, don't then draw that parallel. And that's where I kind of came back to, like, you've got to remember truth. You have to have that confidence. And I was like, I want you to write down things that people tell you about you, and look at that over Instagram,
Yeah.
But easier said than done.
Yeah, but at least trying to start that process is one thing that helps start taking down those barriers of the misconception she's sucked into her brain, for sure.
Yeah.
Are there areas in your life you feel less confident? If so, why?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's tons. How much time do you got? Yeah. I mean, I think what we were kind of saying is just an ebb and flow. It depends on if I get attention from a guy that I like, then I feel confident in that area. If I get ignored by a guy that I like, then I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, And I also think I make a point. I'm drawn to people who are super passionate about something. And because of that, I'm usually drawn to people who are really good in their area of expertise. And so then you're kind of like, man, like, why can't I play the guitar? Or, man, why can't I paint? Or why, And so it's easy. I love being inspired by all those people, but then it's easy to not think about the things that they can't do, but rather be like, but for the most part, for me, it outweighs those momentary feelings to be around people that spur me on to working hard. So.
Which is funny because I 100% relate to that, because I love to learn things. But by learning things means you're around a lot of people that know more than you. And so then there's that moment of, well, am I always the stupid one in the class? Or like,
Totally.
And that's actually where the interview started, was because I was like, well, I'm 30 and I'm starting my own career and like business. Like, maybe I need to pull from people. And I mean, it's gone way beyond that concept of, oh, I don't know enough, but that's where it first kind of started manifesting, and now it's something where it's a community, and I'm happy, and I'm learning so much, and I know that I'm getting a lot from it, and it's not like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's funny how I 100% relate to that idea.
Yeah. It'll probably be forever. I mean, my mom said, she was like, if I ever stop growing, hit me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always say like the day you quit learning is the day you die. You know, like you have to continue to evolve and just grow yourself emotionally, physically, whatever.
Mhm.
Because if not, like you're just wasting life, I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
Uh, what things do you struggle with in your life, personally or professionally, that hinder you from being confident, and how do you overcome those?
Um,
Or is there specific things?
yeah, kind of what you were just saying. I think I've always felt academically, I felt like stuff doesn't click as quick as it has for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like it's hard to do the job that I do, where I'm trying to help people's marriages and dating relationships and seasons of singleness, when the marker of success is if you get married. I mean,
Yeah.
that's self-imposed. I know that's not truth, but
Yes.
I would like to be married. And so then when you're trying to help people with their relationships and you're not in one, and then your own relationships are failing and that's in your face, and then you've got 19-year-old, you know, kids who are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, we're gonna get married," and I'm like, "Wait till you're 31."
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I have this younger girl that I mentor or whatever, and one
Yeah.
time it like hit me. She's 10 years younger than me, and it hit me, and I was like, "Do you like?" Because I knew the thoughts that I had when I was younger, 20s, of like seeing older single women
Yeah.
being like, "God, just don't make me wait that long."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Do you like have thoughts about me and like not being able to wait as long as me, like praying that
Yeah.
God?" And she was like, kind of. And I was like, wow. So yeah, that's a little bit of a struggle. I mean, the reality is like, when you get to a certain age, you're like, oh, I may have to mourn the loss of not biologically being able to have kids, or or getting married. Like, what will I do with my life if this doesn't happen? And will I still trust God's goodness? That's a big part of my book, and just kind of the stuff I have to grapple with. But it's hard when it's all encompassing in your work,
Yeah.
and then you have I mean, everyone is impacted by relationships. And so
Yes.
whether my friends are believers or not, I feel like because of what I do, that's what the conversations are, and that's what I'm thinking about all the time. And so it can get a little, you're like, I don't know if I'm good enough to be able to do this. Like, I don't know if I'm really, like, I hate it when people will be like, relationship expert, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to point people to my parents.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, I'm the blind leading the blind. So insecurity can set in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you start doing this? Like how, because I mean, I've been following you for probably, and like paying attention to your blog and like your posts and stuff for probably a few months, but obviously it seems like it's been going a lot longer than that.
Hmm. Yeah, in 2007.
Oh,
Well, 2005, I was directing my parents' conferences.
okay.
So I did that for 2 years. Then I almost got married, went through a pretty big breakup, took some time off. And in that time, with a lot of reflection, like, why can't relationships be successful?
Yeah.
I just told my parents I want to help my generation. So then I just started researching and reading and trying to figure out how. And then in 2009, I think the blog started. And then it kind of evolved into the Ask Joy thing, where people could
Yeah.
write, because I learned through asking questions. And so I knew people's questions would trigger me having to dig deeper and learn. And so, yeah, so now here we are.
Very cool. That's awesome. Thanks. I just was wondering when you were starting to say that. I was like, yeah, I don't know her history, so that would just be good to see. Um, how do you work on continuing to be a confident woman in today's world, and do you feel like you know how to work on your confidence?
Yeah, that's a good question. And kind of related to what we touched on a little bit, of just like working on confidence, I think would be working out truth versus lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, um, sorry,
You're fine.
I think trying to figure out when you start to believe lies, that's when your confidence becomes less, or you're just paralyzed for moving forward. So what I'm saying, people think I'm confident because I just move forward. I wouldn't say I'm confident. I'm just making a decision to go, well, it's kind of like the thing, like I used to get on roller coasters and just, I loved roller coasters, but I was so scared of them. And all I could visualize was, this is just going to fly off the track. It's just going to fly off the track. And I had to go, thousands of people have gone before me. And I would apply that to roller coasters, because I would hear my mom say that about giving birth. She's like, when you have to give birth, I know you'll be so scared, but just remember, millions of women have gone before you, you know? So then I would apply it to roller coasters.
Yeah.
I can do this. And I started Lamaze breathing before I got on.
Yeah. The next 2 minutes are going to be a piece of cake.
Yeah. And yeah, so I just think that's kind of what I would say is the key to. So tell me your question again.
How do you work on continuing to be a confident woman in today's world? Do you feel like you know how to work on your confidence?
Yeah, I think I would just say keep seeking truth. And I think the balance, though, for Christians, like when I have confidence in Christ, I have confidence, really grapple with what that means, because it doesn't mean that you don't have fear. We live in a broken world, so there's going to be things that we're fearful of. We can't ignore that, but it's do we let our fear take a higher priority than what Christ says to be true about us? And if we do, then that's when we're going to become paralyzed and not be able to move forward. So I think it's like you go, okay, this is what I'm really scared about. This is what Christ says about me. And so that's how I choose to have confidence in Christ. And then on top of that, though, like praying for humility. I think sometimes when we feel like, oh, I've found the answer, I've gotten the truth, we don't acknowledge maybe that we're scared anymore. We just try to give pat answers to other people who might be scared, or even non-Christians. And then that's when we come off as arrogant, and that's not confidence. So I think Christian confidence should be, I'm going to keep moving forward, but I'm going to have humility, knowing that, you know, I'm not perfect. And, you know, I don't know if that makes.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense. That's good. Yeah, just the idea that, you know, you understand what's going on, but don't think that, you know, it's just disregards the feelings. You still deal with them, but you just kind of deflate them and then move forward with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you had one message to tell women regarding confidence, what would it be? Whenever I hear like, what's the best or what's the one thing? Sorry to limit you. You can say more than one if you would like. It's okay. I'm allowed to give you a little leeway. It is my question, so.
Yeah, I would just say probably kind of the same answer as my last answer. Just be a truth seeker. Be someone that prays for wisdom. I think Scripture does say if we pray and ask for wisdom and believe that God will give it to us, He will. And if we're wise people, then the truth will come back to our mind over the fear. And I think that's what makes us confident. It's like, why not? I take improv classes. Like I love improv, and one of the main principles of that is, you know, to accept and to like listen really closely to what the other person is saying. And I think like when we can get outside of ourselves and just like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like try to like really value the people that are around us, like really genuinely want to get to know people, not always having the right answer, but be confident in the things that we have learned while still being humble enough to learn from other people. I just think, I think you can just have confidence in your life, just knowing I'm here to like love people. I'm here to remember what God said is true about me. And then there's just like a calmness that comes over you, kind of like the old people. And then I guess people interpret that as confident, because if you think I'm confident and this guy thinks I'm confident, I mean, there's so many areas that I suck in. I know that I don't know what it is, but I'm just kind of like, well, I know I'm not. I have so many insecurities. But I'm not going to let them keep me in bed all day, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I hope you really enjoyed my interview with Joy. She is a strong, confident woman in her faith and also in her goals of helping men and women understand healthy relationships and what to look for in their future relationships or the ones that they are currently in. If you want more information about her with her book coming out or the Illumination Project that she is launching, I believe actually is out currently, please check out her website, Love and Respect Now, or follow her on Twitter or find her on Facebook. She's a great lady and she loves unicorns. So if you have any more questions for me or her, please feel free to email either of us. Otherwise, please leave a comment below and let us know what were the things that you liked most about things that we talked about. Have a great day. Bye.